You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob, and you're listening to episode number 359. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
We do. And today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the differences in mapping software and technology. There are many different options available now, and we're going to kind of go over them and what they do. What are the differences between all of them? Also, we kind of want to talk about not only the options in mapping software, but in any workflow in drone business, you've got to deliver your deliverable to the client. And the client has to have some way to interact and engage with that deliverable. So we're going to talk about DJI, which is an amazing company. One of my buddies, Justin, is a part of that company, and he kind of works on the workflow, meaning once you get the map, how do you get the map to your client, give them a way to interact and engage with that, but also manage all of that data, you know, because in the back end of your business, you can't be physically going to different people's offices all the time and saying, here's your map. And you can only view the map if you've got Pix4D and an account and paid $35 a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be very flexible, easy to use, or
convenient.
The person down the road who has made it flexible and easy to use is going to be the one who gets business.
That is very true. So if you're using DJI, highly, highly recommend continuing to use it. If you don't use DJI, you should be using DJI because it's going to make interactions with your clients a lot easier. But anyway, let's get into today's question, which is actually brought to you by, are you a drone pilot? Are you operating under a Section 333 exemption? Then you may be familiar with Item 27, which requires you to get a property release for every flight over property.
Legal Flyer is an app for iPhone and iPad that helps you create professional property releases in less time than it takes to do a pre-flight check.
You can add your pilot info, you can sign in, hand it to the property owner for their signature. But wait a second. Legal Flyer's advanced integration automatically adds latitude, longitude, and even altitude.
Then add a panorama straight from the app. Everything drops into a single-page PDF you can share with a single tap. It's compliance at light speed. Visit LegalFlyer.com for more information or get it straight from the App Store. Legal Flyer. Property releases for professional drone pilots.
Hey guys, this is Dave from Northern Virginia. I have been researching options related to surveying small areas and looking for a solution like DroneDeploy. I'm flying a custom octocopter with a Wukong flight controller and the iPad ground station from DJI. Some of the third-party surveying options like DroneDeploy are built around the DJI airframe and systems, and they are highly integrated and make it easy to do survey work. DroneDeploy says they accept geotech images from other sources, but their software doesn't interface with my flight controller. Are there other similar type solutions or service providers that would work better than with a non-DJI rig? Any help would be appreciated. And by the way, Paul referenced purchasing a P-51 Mustang for a couple $100,000. I'm not sure what he's referencing, but used actual Mustangs from the 40s go for close to $2 million if you're looking to upgrade from a Phantom or a Inspire.
Thank you for that correction
That's
on
right.
the price of the P-51 Mustang.
But I think he meant with wings and like everything, right? You were,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just trying to help you out here
No,
somehow.
there's no helping me out here. Like, that was definitely a huge mistake. You know, we podcast every day. I can't be right about everything. So,
That's true.
It is what it is. That doesn't surprise me since I think a 30-minute ride in one of those things is $1,500. So that kind of makes sense.
200,000, 2 million, whatever.
Same difference.
Yep.
It's a lot of money. Don't have it.
Not gonna buy one.
So, not that big of a difference. Anyway, let's get into his question. Are there different mapping softwares than DroneDeploy?
So before you get into like kind of going through the different options and so forth, would you run down, and I didn't warn you that I was going to ask this, so just kind of run down what this software is designed to do. What is the whole point?
So the whole point of mapping with the drone is kind of like doing surveying with the drone. We are creating orthomosaic maps, which is essentially a really fancy term for a lot of maps laid on top of each other to create a lot of data.
To be used for
measuring things.
Okay.
And measuring things, and I'm trying to keep it as basic as possible.
Sure.
Measuring things such as points from A to B, volumetrically measuring, say, a house, volumetrically measuring, say, how much stockpile you have of hay left. But also with drone mapping, we can do vegetation index mapping. So we can actually see what is in our plants when we're growing our crops. We can see how healthy they are. We can see carbon content. We can see phosphorus content. We can see nitrogen content. Now, that's if you have a hyperspectral imager. But the level of data that we can go to starts very basic with these programs and your Phantoms and your Inspires and your Solos. And then you can get very, very deep and complex with that data if you move into things like Precision Hawk and you've got a hyperspectral sensor, a multispectral sensor, a thermal imaging sensor. Really the idea of maps is to get data to make decisions that we were unable to make before.
Or at least not without putting a plane in the air or something.
And even then, there really has not been software to that was available to the public, that was cost effective, that could actually put all that data together into a map. Now, when we do mapping, we can do things like topographical maps, where we're measuring differences in elevation over periods of land. So if you're surveying an area, that's really helpful, especially for mining reclamation. If you mine an area and you've got to put it back together like the way it was before you got there, you got to make sure the water flows the same way it did, before the mine was there. It's a great tool for that. It's also a great tool to monitor your crops, like I said before. And you can create three-dimensional models, like point cloud models. These are really useful and helpful for civil engineers, regular engineers, architects. There's a lot of, even general contractors, there's a lot of benefit to being able to say, we're building this building, let's fly a drone, we've already laid this much foundation down, how much concrete do we have left, how much sand, how much gravel. We can take a drone up, and it would normally take a day or two for a guy to actually go out and volumetrically measure these piles of sand, where we can take a drone, 15 minutes, hour and a half later, we've got everything we need, all of the data.
Software does all the calculations.
Everything.
It's done.
Yep. Now, when it comes to mapping buildings for civil engineers or for contractors, your maps that you're going to make with your Phantom, your Inspire, even your Inspire 1 Pro, they are not going to cut the mustard. People make a grave mistake in thinking that they can take their Phantom, go out to a building, map that building, and give measurable and actionable data to architects and engineers.
Why is that? What's missing? Where are they falling short?
The level of resolution and the level of accuracy. In order to make decisions, we've got to have 1 pixel equates to 1 centimeter on the ground.
Okay.
And, with these basic packages like DroneDeploy is 15 centimeters per pixel. That's huge.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, whereas their pro version of DroneDeploy is 5 centimeters per pixel.
Okay.
So now, can you go out to a farm and fly the new winery in Placitas? Could I take my Phantom or my Inspire and go fly over there with an NDVI camera or just an NDVI filter on my camera and get actionable data? Absolutely, because we're not building buildings. We're looking for disease. We're looking for water content. We're looking for, we need all this data to make decisions on what type of fertilizer and how much to water our plants. And drones can provide all of that information within hours instead of never.
Right. Instead of never. That's a good payoff. So we're talking about the drones collecting the data. And so what all the software is doing is it's taking that data and making it useful in layman's terms, right?
What the drone is doing is taking a lot of pictures, and the software is stitching all of the pictures together to create one orthomosaic map. So that orthomosaic is all of those images piled together and computed together to create one map in a real space in real time. can your drone acquire the data? Yes, but your drone cannot do anything with the data.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So mapping is, I think, one of those things that it's going to play a huge role in the success of the drone industry over time. Again, I've said that in order for the economy to see continued growth, like the growth rates we've seen in the last couple decades, we've got to have something that's so disruptive that it creates economies of scale. Drones are a way that we can vastly improve the output of our food, of our farms. I mean, all the food we're eating, but also increase the quality of that as well. So I think, once mapping becomes more convenient and easy for farmers, I think we're going to see a huge increase in drone usage in farmland. And I also think that you're going to see much better quality of foods. So that being said,
we need that.
Yes, we do. That being said, the big issue for mapping and farmers right now is actually getting the data to a computer or to a program to be processed, because DroneDeploy is a cloud-based program. It's, you take all your images, they go up through your phone, your LTE connection, whatever. They get processed, and then they're available online. Pix4D is the same exact program, except it's on a computer. So DroneDeploy bridges the gap from the computer to the drone, and Pix4D, though, is an enterprise-class software that can provide the maps that you want, but it is on your physical computer. When we first started using Pix4D, if you remember, it took 15 hours to process one map.
So you need a good processor, lots of RAM, all those. I mean, a pretty high-performing machine.
And we had one, and it still took that long. I think we had 32 gigs of RAM, terabyte of storage, so lightning fast processor. So anyway, to his question, what drone mapping programs are there, and what mapping programs can he use that do not work with DJI? Meaning, what is there besides the DJI stuff? So he's right. DroneDeploy makes it very easy. You open up DroneDeploy, you set your waypoints. It's boom, 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 done. I mean, it is as easy as it gets. Pix4D is a little different. You have to go out and collect your data and your images. There is the Pix4D mapper, which works with DJI drones as well. I think Pix4D mapper also works with Wukong. Don't quote me on that, but I remember a friend using it a long time ago, and I don't remember how he did it, but I know it's been done. I'm going to leave it at that. But Pix4D is enterprise level. You can use it with any drone, because what you're doing is taking the physical pictures and inputting them into the program itself. There are better types of cameras to use when using Pix4D, because you want to make sure that you've got GPS coordinates on every single photo file. Because when you're making these maps, Rob, you're not just taking picture, you've got to overlap about 70% of each picture in order to get actionable data. And even the best maps, after they do their flight path of, back and forth, they do a circular flight path with a camera pointed at about 45 to get that kind of side angle and side profile around the map itself. Anyway, so DroneDeploy, Pix4D Mapper, 3DR recently came out with SiteScan. Now, this only really works for 3DR products. So the Solo, if you've got a Pixhawk flight controller in one of your birds, it'll work with that. There's also Precision Hawk Data Mapper. Now, Precision Hawk is, in my opinion, the industrial-grade enterprise solution. This is what the largest companies in the world use. Now, Precision Hawk does what DroneDeploy does, it does what Pix4D does, but it also does what Divi Map does, which is create a gateway for your clients to see these maps, interpret these maps, and use the same tools that drone pilots would use to interpret the maps. For example, the volumetric measuring. Right? You normally need a program to do that. Well, Divi Map does that very well. Divi Map actually takes the maps from DroneDeploy, Pix4D, whatever you're using, and creates an online cloud-based system where you can organize these maps, deliver them to your clients, and your clients have a way to engage and interact with them, which is huge because that's a big workflow problem right now with mapping.
But Precision Hawk does all of that as well, right?
Correct. Now, the price for Precision Hawk is also a little bit more, although when I found out how much SiteScan was, it was pretty expensive as well. So, for example, DroneDeploy, just the Explorer version, if you want to just try it out, it's free. But the accuracy and resolution you're going to get are very poor.
Sure.
The Pro,
Basic gateway into using it, basically.
absolutely, it's a way to try it out. The Pro version is $99 a month, or if you buy it annually, it's $84 a month. And by the way, the differences between all of these are pretty much the resolution and the type of output files you will get.
Okay.
Because one of the big issues with mapping is that you have to produce files that your client can read. Again,
Right.
DiviMap solves that problem, but if you've got a client who's, say, using ArcGIS, right? They're in mining, they're in reclamation, they're in, how do I say this, site development. They're using ArcGIS. GIS is a geospatial information system program.
Okay.
And essentially the way that it works is you have to have certain type of ARC files for that program to read. Again, you want to make this process as easy and convenient for your
Sure.
client, so you want to be outputting ARC files for them. If they don't use ArcGIS, you could output to a lesser grade file and then use DiviMap for them to interpret the data.
Got it.
Anyway,
There's a lot to this.
there really is.
Backing up, so I know you're going into pricing here a little bit, but on the Precision Hawk, is that something you can use with any drone as well? Or do you have to buy their solution for the data capture?
Recently, you've been able to use DJI products with Precision Hawk Data Mapper.
Okay.
I don't know if you can use any product. I would imagine you could, but I did not find that information.
Okay.
I did see, though, that they were touting the M100, the Matrice 100, the Inspire 1. They had a picture of an X3 camera on their website, so they're definitely using DJI
Okay.
equipment now. Precision Hawk normally has their own bird, which is a $25,000 bird, but it does huge missions. So if you're trying to, the thing is, if you're trying to map with a Phantom and Inspire, you're limited to a certain size that you can actually kind of perform.
Sure.
When you work with Precision Hawk's aircraft, or like Silent Falcon, who's here in Albuquerque, you're talking about hundreds of square miles.
Sure.
So, for example, the Silent Falcon can fly for 9 hours. You'd be surveying for 9 hours. You could literally survey probably 20,000 acres in that time.
Which is a lot of data.
Lots of data.
So got to have, obviously, the solution to handle that data.
Yes, you do. Anyway, moving on, SiteScan, the price for SiteScan was $1,188 for an annual license. So what does that come down to a month, Rob?
About $100.
Okay.
1,200, yeah.
So just a little bit more than DroneDeploy, but from what we're hearing, we haven't been able to test this. It's very accurate. Again, we have not been able to test it, so that doesn't mean much. That being said, then I've already talked about Precision Hawk Data Mapper. That's anywhere from $49 to $450 a month.
Again, depending on your needs and how complex your mapping is going to be, etc.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think, do you feel like you understand mapping a little bit better?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, with such a high-level conversation, it's so deep and there's a lot to it. But different applications, different uses, all that kind of stuff that somebody that's going to be doing this is obviously going to have to dig much, much deeper.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could talk about mapping for hours,
Right.
but we would bore the
Oh,
crap out
gosh,
of people.
yeah, let's not do that.
So I'm not a mapper. I don't like mapping.
Right.
I don't like mapping because you're not flying. It's like, boop, go.
Right.
And
But for some of our engineer friends and so forth, we've found that they tend to be really interested in this kind of stuff because on some level it's kind of a puzzle and you're putting things together and you're looking at new and better ways. Engineers are always looking for new and better ways to do things, and this allows them to do that. So, there's a market for everybody.
Oh, agreed 100%. And I think that there's definitely a type of person to be that creative videographer. And I think there's that type of person that's into mapping.
Yeah.
And there's a mapping firm here in Albuquerque. And it's funny, he comes up to me all the time. He's like, "Are you sure you're not mapping? Like, I'm really worried that you're like stealing our business." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to touch mapping with a 10-foot pole. Like,
Right.
I'm good." And the thing is, too, if you do go into mapping, there is a huge market available. It is a very, very profitable market, but if you're really going to get actionable data, you've got to be flying massive sensors.
Right.
The Silent Falcon was flying the Sony Exmor sensor, and you can do multispectral, but you can also do LiDAR. And then the guys over here in Albuquerque doing mapping, they're using the LiDAR as well. So, they're charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for each job.
Right.
But they're doing it for government entities, federal government, that big wastewater issue when the Animas River was clogged up with all that crap.
Right. Oh, yeah. When they let the water out of the mine. Yeah, that was ugly.
Derek from Albuquerque was the one who went up and mapped
really?
that.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, it must have been nice for him. He made a pretty penny on it, but they had the actionable data to say, okay, how can we actually stop the flow?
Well, and he's got a ton of capital, or somebody like that's got a ton of capital invested in being able to run a business like that. So I don't know, what is the bird that he uses cost when you talk about the sensors and everything?
About $350,000.
Yeah, so obviously that's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to break
And
into.
his payload is like $200,000.
Yeah,
So-
versus even maybe 5-6 for a really nicely equipped Inspire to go do videography, cinematography type work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the M600, if we're going to talk about mapping, one of the quintessential parts of mapping is getting the ground control points. These are the points where the map knows exactly where that place is in space and time. And in order to have the most accurate maps, you've got to have those ground control points. Well, with the Matrice 600, utilizing the RTK GPS, we can now get an even more accurate level of data of the GCP. Where are we actually down to the second in our GPS coordinates? So having that type of aircraft significantly helps out in the accuracy of your maps. It's not just the payload, but it's also what's in the bird.
Right.
That's why I think the DJI M600 could really significantly disrupt the mapping market.
Right. So it's going to be one more solution that allows more people to enter the market.
True.
Because it's not cheap,
No.
but it's not $300,000 either.
Well, I mean, you're going to spend $10,000 for the bird, right? And if you get a Sony A7R Mark II, which is the same sensor they're putting in the Silent Falcon, that's 42 megapixel images. You're going to get down to the centimeter per pixel. You're going to be into that camera for $3,000 plus whatever lenses you get. And I've been seeing a lot of mappers using Canon lenses, also variable zoom lenses. So you're going to be in that bird $20,000 by the time you're ready to map. But, you can charge a lot of money for mapping. Here's the issue. The issue is, does the client have the dispensable income to pay for mapping services?
Correct.
Because I don't think farmers are there yet. I don't think they see the savings there yet. Now, in civil engineering and public safety, I get it. Totally understand it.
Sure.
But they also have a budget that's quite large.
Yeah, oil and gas, some of those industries that you could break into with this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Another great one, too, would be mapping all the electrical lines in the country. So, which they're already doing in other places.
Other countries, you
Other
mean?
countries, excuse me. Yes.
Right.
Thanks, FAA. I mean, I love you guys.
It always circles around somehow back to that. Anyways,
I hope that answered the question. I feel like I've been talking forever, but I hope that answered the question. My friend David from Northern Virginia, I'm from Northern Virginia, Alexandria to be exact. Thank you so much for calling in. It's nice to know other people in that area are listening to us. I know the daily commutes can be long, so we're going to have to make these podcasts a little longer.
that's right.
Anyway, but thank you for your question. And by the way, thanks for correcting me on the Mustang, the P-51 Mustang. And guys, if you hear something that I've said that maybe isn't right because of what you know, don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to let us know. We're totally happy with correcting ourselves. Not a big deal at all. We are here for you, and I want you guys to make sure that you know that.
Yep.
If you're listening in your car on iTunes or Stitcher, please leave us a review on iTunes. We would greatly appreciate it. We got about 30 reviews, and the more, the better. If this information has been helpful to you for whatever reason, make sure to leave us a review. It helps other people find the podcast. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We reject indecision, confusion, and vanity, for they work against the community. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.